Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome back to another deep dive. Today we are setting the coordinates of our time machine to a very specific, and I mean highly volatile, and just incredibly creative moment in music history.
hmm
I want you to just close your eyes for a second and picture the year 1998.
A pivotal year, absolutely.
It's totally pivotal. The dust was, finally settling on the coastal feuds. The tragic high-stakes beefs of the mid-90s were, well, they were evolving.
The landscape was changing.
It was. We were entering a new era where cross-regional collaborations weren't just a nice-to-have. They were becoming the new power move. And right in the center of this shift, on October 6, 1998, an album drops that just captures this spirit perfectly.
And we are talking about Mack 10's third studio album, The Recipe.
The Recipe. I just love that title. It implies, cooking, mixing ingredients that maybe don't belong together but somehow create a feast.
That's a perfect way to put it.
And that is exactly our mission for this deep dive. We aren't just reviewing a track list here. We are analyzing The Recipe as a masterclass in curation.
It really is a study in curation. I mean, if you look at the liner notes, it's just baffling. You have a rapper from Inglewood bringing together the distinct sounds of the West Coast.
Right.
The gritty boom bap of the East Coast, the exploding bounce of the South, and then completely out of left field, nu metal.
That's the hook for me. I mean, that's the whole thing. How does a guy from Inglewood manage to get Eazy-E, Old Dirty Bastard, Korn, and Gerald Levert on the same project?
It sounds impossible.
It sounds like a playlist on shuffle, not a cohesive album.
But it is. It is. And to understand how that happens, you have to understand the chef. You have to understand Mack 10 himself.
So let's get into the man behind the menu, Mack 10. Real name, Dedrick Demon Rollison.
Born August 9, 1971 in Inglewood, California. Now, you have to remember, by 1998, Dedrick Rollison wasn't a new face. Not at all. He was already a heavy hitter.
Oh, for sure. Most people knew him from West Side Connection.
Exactly. Most listeners probably knew him best as one-third of that supergroup, West Side Connection.
Alongside Ice Cube and WC. Two legends in their own right.
Absolutely. And that group was all about, West Coast supremacy. It was very us against them.
Very much so.
But as a solo artist, Mack 10 had already released his self-titled debut, Mack 10, in 1995. And then, based on a true story, in 1997, he was established.
So he had his own lane.
He had his own lane, but in 98, he wasn't just an artist. He was becoming a mogul. He was the founder of Who Bangin' Records.
And that label is so crucial to this story. But what was his vision here? I mean, why not just make another West Side Connection style record? That would have been the easy play.
I think the vision for The Recipe was expansion. It had to be.
Yeah.
He wanted to move beyond just the West Coast G-funk sound that defined his earlier work. He saw the chessboard.
He was looking at the bigger picture.
A much bigger picture. He saw that the South was rising with No Limit. He saw the East was holding strong with Bad Boy and Def Jam. And I think he just wanted all of it. He wanted a piece of every pie.
And commercially it worked, didn't it?
Oh, commercially, absolutely. The album was certified gold by the RIAA on December 3, 1998.
So that's what, shipping over 500,000 units?
Over 500,000 units. And
Yeah.
it debuted at number 15 on the Billboard 200 and number 6 on the top R&B hip-hop albums.
Those are serious numbers, especially for an album that takes so many creative risks.
Genuinely impressive when you look at the stats.
Okay, so I want to really dig into the ingredients here. I think we have to go through this track by track, artist by artist, because the roster on this album is essentially a snapshot of the entire music industry in 1998. It is. It's comprehensive.
It is a time capsule, no question.
Let's start right near the top. Track 2, the title track, The Recipe. Now, before Mack 10 goes out and grabs the global superstars, he does something really interesting here. He looks inward.
He does. He starts with the home team. This track is a showcase for his new label, for the Who Bangin' Records roster.
Okay, so who do we have on this track? Lay it out for us.
You have a lineup that really represents different facets of the LA scene at the time. You have Binky, Boo Capone, CJ Mack, and Technique.
I want to break these guys down, because for the uninitiated, these names might not ring a bell like Snoop or Cube, but they were integral to the whole operation. Let's start with Binky.
Right. Binky, often credited as Binky Mack. His real name is Ryan Garner, also known as Ryan Binky Garner. He's an Inglewood native, a rapper, and a producer.
So a double threat. That's valuable.
Incredibly valuable. And his role on this album isn't just rapping. He actually produced this specific track, The Recipe, and he also produced track 16, the letter.
So he's helping build the sound.
Exactly. When we talk about the sound of Who Bangin' Records, that specific sonic architecture, Binky is one of the key architects. He's building the foundation.
Okay, that makes sense. Then we have Boo Capone. What's his story?
Boo Capone, who also went by the alias Bugatti, he's a rapper from Los Angeles, he brought that street-level intensity, that raw credibility that Mack 10 always prioritized. He was the voice of the pavement, so to speak.
The enforcer.
You could say that. He kept it grounded.
And then there's C.J. Mack. Now, looking at the notes here, C.J. Mack seems to have a bit more of a history than the others.
He does. C.J. Mack is a fascinating figure in West Coast hip-hop history. His real name is Brian Ross. He was born in 1964.
Wait, 1964? Really?
Yes. So if you do the math, in 1998, he's 34 years old. That's significantly older than Mack 10, who was born in 71.
So he's the veteran in the room.
He is absolutely the veteran in the room. He was from the Slauson Avenue area of South Central LA. He'd been around the block for sure.
He'd seen things.
Definitely. He was known earlier in his career as Mad C.J. Mack. And he had actually released a solo album called True Game way back in 1995.
So he wasn't a rookie looking for a break.
Not at all. He was an established voice that Mack 10 brought into the fold to add that weight, that gravitas. He gave the crew a sense of history.
And rounding out the quartet on this track is Technique.
Technique, real name, David Keith Williams III. He also went by the alias Beach Boy. Now, he represented the younger energy. He was part of that distinct LA underground scene that was really rising in the late 90s. So on this one track, The Recipe, you have the producer-rapper in Binky, the street soldier in Boo Capone, the veteran OG in C.J. Mack, and the rising star in Technique.
It's a statement of strength, really. It's Mack 10 planting his flag in Inglewood and South Central before he even thinks about going global.
That's it exactly. He's showing off his team.
But then we get to track 3. You Ain't Seen Nothing. And this is where the spaceship takes off.
This is the pivot, the big pivot.
We go from the gritty streets of Slauson Avenue to the shiny suits of the pop charts. We have Foxy Brown and Jermaine Dupri.
This is the crossover attempt, and it is a massive flex for 1998. Let's talk about Foxy Brown first.
Please. I mean, she was everywhere at this point.
She was a cultural phenomenon. Born Inga de Carlo Fung Marchand on September 6, 1978. Now think about that for a second. In October 1998, when this album drops, she had just turned 20 years old.
Only 20. That's insane.
Barely 20. And yet, look at her resume by that point. She was a rapper and a
What a supergroup, for sure.
And her debut solo album, Il Nana, which was released in 1996, was a platinum success. She was arguably the biggest female rapper in the game at that specific moment.
She was the it girl, no question.
Absolutely. And she brought a level of East Coast glamour and, high fashion credibility that was completely different from the West Coast G-Funk aesthetic of khakis and chucks.
A totally different universe. And then you add Jermaine Dupri to the mix.
J.D. Jermaine Dupri Malden. Born September 23, 1973, the Atlanta-based mogul, the owner of So-So Def Recordings.
What was his status in '98? Where was he in his career?
He was on top of the world. He was an established super producer and a rapper in his own right. This was his life in 1472 era. He had the Midas touch. If you wanted a radio hit, you called Jermaine Dupri.
And that is exactly what this track was designed to be, a radio hit.
It was calculated. The track features a sample or really more of an interpolation of Daz by the band Brick.
Daz. Disco jazz. I love that song.
Exactly. It's funky, it's upbeat, it's danceable. It is the complete and total opposite of the gangster rap sound Mack 10 was known for.
So having Mack 10, Foxy Brown, and Jermaine Dupri on a disco jazz beat.
That is curation. That is the recipe. That's mixing things that shouldn't work.
Okay, so we've done the home team, we've done the Pop East Coast crossover. Now let's go to track 4, May Niggas. This is where things get gritty again, but in a totally different way. We are heading south.
The No Limit connection. The tank is rolling in.
You really cannot talk about hip-hop in 1998 without talking about the tank.
It is impossible. No Limit Records was at its absolute peak. I mean, they were flooding the market, changing the business model of the entire industry.
And Mack 10 manages to get the general himself.
Master P. Percy Robert Miller. Born April 29th, 1967, the founder of No Limit Records. But really, you have to view him as an entrepreneur and an investor first, and a rapper second.
He was the blueprint for the hustler turned CEO. So many followed that path after him.
He was. And by 1998, he had already released Ice Cream Man in 1996 and Ghetto D in 1997. He was omnipresent. You couldn't escape him. But he didn't come to this track alone. He brought his protege.
Mystical.
Okay. Real name, Michael Lawrence Tyler, born September 23, 1970, in New Orleans.
I always forget how intense his background is.
Well, he's a Persian Gulf War veteran. People often forget that. He served in the military before he ever picked up a mic professionally.
That explains so much, the discipline and the aggression in his delivery.
It does. His style is completely unique, this high-energy, screaming delivery. Critics at the time often compared him to a hip-hop version of James Brown or Little Richard. He was just a ball of fire.
So what was his context in '98? Where was he at?
He was firmly in the No Limit camp. Before that, he was with Big Boy Records and had a huge local beef with Cash Money Records, Lil Wayne, UNLV, that whole crew.
Right, the early New Orleans scene?
Exactly. But by '98, under Master P, he was a national star. His albums Mind of Mystical from '95 and Unpredictable from '97 had really set the stage. He was ready to explode.
Now, I want to highlight the production on this track, Made Niggas,
Oh,
because
yeah?
it does not sound like a West Coast beat at all.
No, it doesn't. And that is the genius of Mack 10 here. He didn't try to force Master P and Mystical to rap over a Dr. Dre clone. He brought in KLC.
KLC from Beats by the Pound, the guys who made the No Limit sound.
The very same. Craig Stephen Lawson. Born July 15, 1969, in New Orleans, he was a key member of the production team Beats by the Pound, who were the architects of that entire No Limit sound.
That heavy, swampy, marching band gone wrong sound.
That was KLC. That was their signature. So Mack 10 essentially imported the entire New Orleans ecosystem, the CEO, the star rapper, and the lead producer, onto his Inglewood album.
He let them play a home game in his stadium.
That is a fascinating way to put it, and it's 100% correct.
That is incredible. Okay, let's move to track 5. Get your right on.
Yeah.
This one feels heavy. It feels important. It features Eazy-E and MC8.
A tribute to The Godfather.
But we have to address the timeline here. Eazy-E passed away in 1995.
Correct. Eazy-E. Real name. Eric Lynn Wright. Born September 7, 1964. He died on March 26, 1995 from AIDS-related complications. A huge loss.
He was the founder of Ruthless Records, the founder of NWA. The whole game owes him a debt.
He was the godfather of gangster rap. Without Eazy, there is no Mack 10, there is no West Side Connection, there's no Dr. Dre as we know him. So this track is a posthumous appearance.
So how did they do it?
They utilized his trademark high-pitched vocals from the vaults, from unreleased material, to create this collaboration.
Then who does Mack 10 pair him with? MC8, which is just a perfect choice.
Another absolute legend, Aaron Tyler, born May 22, 1967 in Compton, the leader of Compton's Most Wanted.
Most people remember him as a Wax from the movie Menace the Second Society, an iconic role.
An iconic role. And musically, he was famous for Straight Up Menace and his 1994 album We Come Strapped. He was the other side of the Compton coin from NWA.
So why is this pairing, Eazy-E and MC8, so significant for a listener in 1998? What's the statement being made?
It grounds the album. It brings it back home. You've just had Foxy Brown and Master P. You've gone pop and you've gone south. By bringing in Eazy, even posthumously, and MC8, Mack 10 is reminding everyone, I am still West Coast. I am still rooted in this soil. It's a unification of Compton legends.
It's the anchor of the whole project.
I think so.
Now, speaking of range, my God. We go from the gritty streets of Compton to the bedroom. Track 6, Money's Just a Touch Away, and we get Gerald Levert.
The R&B infusion, a complete left turn.
Gerald Levert was royalty, straight up.
He was. Gerald Edward Levert, born July 13th, 1966 in Cleveland, Ohio.
The son of Eddie Levert.
From the OJs. So he had that incredible lineage. He was in the group Levert, and by the late 90s, he was in the supergroup LSG with Keith Sweat and Johnny Gill.
LSG was huge.
Huge. And he had solo hits like Private Line and Groove On. He was the voice of soul for that generation.
And what about the production here? Who is behind this smooth track?
It was produced by Rhythm D real name, David Weldon and Slice, a.k.a. Stephen Wade. Now, Rhythm D is an interesting character in this whole web.
Oh, yeah.
He was a staple of the West Coast sound. He actually had a paper route to Eazy-E's house when he was a kid.
No way.
Before he started making beats for him at Ruthless Records. Yes. So you have a producer with deep West Coast G-Funk roots creating a smooth R&B track for a Cleveland soul legend, all on a Mack 10 album.
It's just another layer of that recipe. Every track has a story like this.
Every single one.
Okay. I want to jump ahead a little bit to track 9 for the money. Because if the last track we talked about was smooth, this one is, it's chaotic in the best possible way. We have Mack 10, we have Buckshot, and we have Old Dirty Bastard.
This is perhaps the most surprising, the most unholy combination on the entire record.
I mean, let's start with ODB. You have to.
Old Dirty Bastard. Real name, Russell Tyrone Jones. born November 15th, 1968, a founding member of the Wu-Tang Clan. Now, unlike Eazy-E, it's really important to note that ODB was alive and very active during this recording. He passed away later in November 2004.
So this was ODB in his absolute prime.
This was peak, erratic, brilliant ODB. He had released Return to the 36 Chambers, the dirty version, in 1995. He was known for that unique singing-rapping hybrid style. He was a complete wild card. There was no one else like him.
And then you pair him with Buckshot.
Buckshot. Real name, Kenyatta Blake, the leader of Boot Camp Click and Black Moon, co-founder of Duck Down Music.
And he represented a very specific sound, a specific movement.
The underground, the backpack era. His album with Black Moon, Entered a Stage, from 1993 was a seminal boom bap album. It was gritty, it was lo-fi, it was dark, the total opposite of a West Coast party record.
So you have the West Coast gangster in Mack 10, the Staten Island wildcard in ODB, and the Brooklyn Underground king in Buckshot.
Right. It makes no sense on paper.
And what do they rap over? This is the best part.
This is the kicker. They rap over a sample of Genius of Love by Tom Tom Club.
Which is a happy, bouncy new wave track from the 80s. It's pure joy.
Exactly. It's bright, it's colorful, and hearing Buckshot's grime and ODB's absolute insanity over such a playful, upbeat beat is a stroke of genius. It creates this contrast that you just would never, ever expect.
It sounds like a block party where three guys from completely different neighborhoods just grabbed the mic and went for it.
That is the perfect description. It's pure, chaotic energy.
Okay, let's bring it back to the West Coast for a moment. Let's go to track 10, Ghetto Horror Show. This features Ice Cube and J.O. Felony.
The West Coast veterans. Well, one veteran and one rising force.
Right. Ice Cube needs no introduction, but let's give him his due. O'Shea Jackson.
Right.
Born June 15, 1969, in South Central L.A.
NWA member, solo superstar with albums like America's Most Wanted and Death Certificate, The Predator. By 98, he's also a legitimate movie star Friday, Boys on the Hood. He is Mack 10's mentor, his partner in West Side Connection.
But J.O. Felony is the one I want to spotlight here, because he's a crucial piece of the puzzle.
J.O. Felony, real name, James Savage. Born December 18, 1972, in San Diego.
He put San Diego on the map, hip-hop-wise.
He really did. He also went by aliases like Bullet Loco and Peer Pressure. He was known for being the first San Diego rapper signed to Jam Master Jay's label, JMJ Records.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he released Take a Ride in 1995. He had a solid buzz.
So what does he bring to this track? What's his flavor?
Intensity. Pure, unadulterated intensity. Jayo has this incredibly fast-paced, aggressive flow. He raps like he's running out of breath, but somehow never actually does. Putting him next to Ice Cube, who is the master of that controlled, angry, authoritative delivery, it just creates a very high-energy, threatening track.
A ghetto horror show, for sure.
Yeah.
Now we have to talk about track 11, LBC and the ING.
Long Beach and Inglewood.
It's Mack 10 and Snoop Dogg. But the context of Snoop in 1998 is, I think, the most important part of this story.
It is the elephant in the room. Calvin Cortazar Broadus, Jr., born October 20, 1971, in Long Beach. In 1998, Snoop was in a massive, massive transition.
He had left Death Row Records.
Right. And Death Row was crumbling, Suge Knight was in prison, Tupac was gone. It was a sinking ship. And Snoop made a move that shocked everyone. He signed to No Limit Records.
He went to New Orleans. He put the tank on his chain.
He did. He released Da Game Is to Be Sold, Not to Be Told in 1998 on No Limit. And the critics were... well, they were mixed, to say the least. It was a confusing time for Snoop fans.
But on this track,
LBC and the ING, which was co-produced by Snoop Dogg and Mack 10, he sounds right at home. It's like a breath of fresh air.
it sounds like the Snoop we knew.
Exactly. It samples Heartbeat by Tana Gardner. It's smooth, it's funky. It's a reminder that despite the label drama and the tank chain he was wearing, Snoop was still LBC to the core.
It almost feels like Mack 10 gave him a safe space to just be Snoop again for one track.
Precisely. A West Coast vacation from his southern sojourn.
Let's head back east, the Bronx specifically. Track 13, Let the Games Begin. This is heavy, just heavy.
The Bronx heavyweights. Big Pun and Fat Joe.
Big Pun was having a monster year in 1998, an absolutely legendary year.
It was his breakout year. Christopher Lee Carlos Rios, born November 10th, 1971, a rapper from the South Bronx and a member of Terror Squad. In 1998, he released his debut album, Capital Punishment,
which was historic.
It was the first solo Latin hip-hop album to go platinum. And beyond that, Pun was technically unparalleled. His breath control, his internal rhymes, his multi-syllabic flows. He was a technician of the highest order.
A rapper's rapper. And Fat Joe was his brother-in-arms.
Joseph Antonio Cartagena, born August 19, 1970 in the Bronx. He was a member of the DITC crew and, of course, the leader of Terror Squad. By '98, he was a veteran. He'd already released Represent, Jealous One's Envy, and his new album that year, Don Cartagena.
And they cannot forget the intro to the song.
The skit. It features the voice of Funkmaster Flex.
Aston George Taylor Jr., the king of New York radio.
The king of Hot 97. The mixtape king. In 1998, if Flex dropped a bomb on your record, it meant you were official in New York City. There was no higher cosign.
So for Mack 10, a known Inglewood blood, to have Big Pun, Fat Joe, and Funkmaster Flex on a single track.
It was a statement. He wasn't just visiting the Bronx, he was planting a flag there. It was a sign of respect and a sign of power.
It's a diplomatic victory as much as it is a musical one.
Well said. Very well said.
Okay, I want to look at track 14. Hashtag one crew in the area. This is a posse cut in the truest sense of the word.
It is a crowded booth on this one. It features almost everyone we've mentioned, plus a few more key players.
So who else is in the mix here? Remind us.
Well, first and foremost, you have W.C. William Calhoun Jr., Mack 10's partner in West Side Connection, the shadiest one. He started with Low Profile and W.C. and the Mad Circle, a true West Coast pioneer.
Of course, can't forget Dub C.
And then you have the Road Dogs.
The Road Dogs, tell us about them.
A gangster rap duo from Inglewood. G. Louv, whose real name is Jonte Ray, and B.R. the Swamp Rat, Omar Williams. They were signed to Who-Bangin' Records, so this was another chance to showcase his in-house talent.
And who else? The track list is long for this one.
You also have Thump, K-Mac, and then the return of the Who-Bangin' roster we met on the title track, Technique, CJ Mack, Binky, Boo Capone, and you even get MC8 back for another verse.
That is a lot of voices on one track. How do you even manage that?
It is. And the key is the production. It's produced by DJ Unique.
DJ Unique, the Bone Thugs and Harmony guy.
The very same. Tim Middleton. He is best known for crafting that unique, melodic, slightly dark, rapid-fire sound for Bone Thugs. So he brings that energy to the beat, which allows all these different MCs to just trade verses and keep the momentum going.
That makes perfect sense. We also have to mention track 15, Gangsta Shit's Like a Drug.
A classic West Coast title. This features Squeak-Roo and Trey D.
Squeak-Roo, who's that?
Real name Marcus Moore. He's a rapper from Inglewood and a member of the group All From the Poles, who were also affiliated with Mack 10.
And Trey D.
A legend.
An absolute legend.
Mm-hmm.
Tracy Lamar Davis from Long Beach. He had that incredibly deep, authoritative voice. He was known as the General. He was a member of Ty Isadaz with Snoop Dogg, a real icon of that LBC sound.
And who produced this one? It sounds very classic.
Mr. Payback, real name, Clinton Sands. And you're right, it's a pure, uncut West Coast G-Funk track. No frills, just that classic sound.
Okay, we have covered the West, the East, the South, R&B, the underground. But we have saved the biggest curveball, the most shocking ingredient, for last. Track 17. Should I stay or should I go?
The Rock Collision, the one that made everyone do a double take.
Mack 10 and Korn.
Just seeing those names together on the back cover of the CD in San Goody must have confused so many people in the record store.
So let's set the stage. Who were Korn in 1998?
They were titans, absolute titans of rock music. They formed in Bakersfield, California in 1993. They were the pioneers of nu metal, that mix of heavy metal and hip-hop rhythms. They basically created a genre.
Who was in the band at that time? It was the classic lineup, Jonathan Davis on vocals, James Monkey Schaffer and Brian Head Welch on those 7-string guitars, Reginald Fieldy Arvizu on that slapping bass, and David Silveria on drums.
And they had just dropped a monster album that year.
Follow the Leader came out in August of 1998, just 2 months before The Recipe. It was a massive commercial success. Got the Life, Freak on a Leash. They were dominating MTV and the radio.
So this wasn't Mack 10 finding some underground rock band to seem edgy. This is him collaborating with arguably the biggest rock band in the world at that exact moment.
Exactly. It was a power move of the highest order. And the track itself. It features guitars performed by Korn. It prominently interpolates the Clash's punk anthem, Should I Stay or Should I Go?
And the production on that. Who had the guts to put that together?
Rick Dutch, Cousin. His real name is Rick Cousin. He somehow managed to fuse Mack 10's street rhymes with Korn's down-tuned, aggressive, almost sludgy guitars. It is loud, it is abrasive, and somehow it fits perfectly on the album.
It's the final, unexpected ingredient in the recipe, the ghost pepper.
It really is. And it shows that Mack 10 understood that the energy of the mosh pit and the energy of the gangster rap concert weren't that different. It was all about aggression and release.
We've talked a lot about the artists, but I want to take a moment for a production spotlight. We've mentioned a few names, but who really built the overall sound of the recipe? Because it's so diverse, but it still sounds cohesive.
It's a really diverse team, which is the point. We mentioned Binky producing his own tracks. We mentioned DJ Unique handling that massive posse cut.
Right, and KLC bringing the authentic No Limit sound.
Exactly. And Rhythm D and Slice on the R&B tip with Gerald Levert.
Right.
And Rick Dutch Cousin handling the rock stuff. It was a very specialized approach.
But who handled the singles? The big radio hits?
That would be a producer named Young Trey.
Young Trey.
He produced Let the Games Begin, the Big Pun and Fat Joe track, and You Ain't Seen Nothing, the Foxy Brown and Jermaine Dupri track. He was essential for crafting those radio-friendly, sample-heavy beats that allowed the album to chart so high.
So it really was a committee of producers, all carefully selected for each specific task.
That is the definition of curation. He wasn't just getting beats, he was getting the right producer for the right artist to make the right song.
So what does this all mean? When we look back at the recipe from 1998, nearly 3 decades later, what is the legacy? What's the takeaway?
The legacy is in the title. It's a recipe. Mack 10 proved that you could remain a street artist from Inglewood while acting as a bridge to the entire global music industry. He connected the dots between Masterpiece Tank, the Wu-Tang Clan's Chambers, and Korn's Mosh Pit.
And he did it physically. That's the thing that gets me every time I think about this album.
That's the absolute key. In 1998, you didn't just email a verse. You couldn't just send a WeTransfer link and call it a day. You had to get in the studio. You had to build a vibe. You had to be there.
Big Pun had to be in the room with him. Korn had to actually plug in their amps in his studio.
Exactly. The chemistry on this album, the reason it works, comes from these conflicting regional styles colliding in a physical space. It's tangible. You can hear the room.
That is a perfect place to leave it. And here's a thought I want you to walk away with. In today's era of digital collaborations where artists often never even meet, could an album like The Recipe, with this much physical in-studio chemistry and such a wide variety of conflicting regional styles, even be made today?
Or was this a lightning-in-a-bottle moment for 1998, something we can't get back? It's a question worth asking.
Go listen to the album, listen to track 13 with Pun and Joe, and then jump to track 17 with Korn. Hear the difference. Appreciate the curation. Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll catch you on the next one.
Stay curious.